You do not sell your Bitcoin. What do I mean? Bitcoin is energy. Bitcoin is life. Don't squander your life. Conserve your energy. Right? I give you energy for, don't let the fire go out. When the fire is what keeps your family from freezing, do not let the fire go out. Right? You have a life, it's beautiful, you can do beautiful things. Don't throw yourself off a cliff. Right? And Satoshi gave you economic energy. You can capture it, you can own it, you can conserve it. Don't throw it away. Economically, Bitcoin's been going up 50% a year for the past 4 years. Every time you sold it, you gave up the best performing asset in the world to buy what? Diversification is selling the winner to buy the losers. When do you sell your Bitcoin? When your family is going to die, you sell your Bitcoin. When you need it to conserve your life, the lives of those you love, then yeah, you trade it, you borrow against it, but you only need one share. You do not sell your Bitcoin. Everything else is inferior. The world, by the way, the entire world is constructed to convince you to sell your Bitcoin. Everybody wants you to trade your Bitcoin for their hedge fund, for their stock, for their idea, for their whatever it is. And you just have to keep in mind that no one is getting rich by telling you not to give them your money.
Do not sell your Bitcoin. Diversification is selling the winner to buy the loser. That's just one of the 21 rules of Bitcoin that came out of Michael Saylor's latest keynote at Bitcoin Prague 2024. Bitcoin Prague is one of the largest Bitcoin events and it just wrapped up for this year. The main attraction was a new keynote by Michael Saylor in which he gave his own personal 21 rules for Bitcoin. As always, it was a masterclass. In this video, we're going to take a look at the first 10 rules of Bitcoin. Without further ado, let's jump into the highlights of Saylor's latest keynote from Bitcoin Prague.
I like to talk about the 21 rules of Bitcoin. I'll start with rule number 1. Those who understand Bitcoin buy Bitcoin, and those that don't criticize Bitcoin. And you can see in a paradigm shift, it's just so profound. There'll be people that'll talk about it, and as long as you're talking about it, it's not clear you understand it. At the point that things click for you, you're not just going to talk about it, you're not going to criticize it, you're going to run, not walk, to the nearest place where you can buy Bitcoin. And for me, it was very clear when it clicked, I had to buy it. And on the other hand, the world's full of people that criticize it. They criticize it because they have not yet grasped the paradigm shift. And if it hasn't clicked for you, you'll have 10,000 criticisms. Rule number 2. Everybody is against Bitcoin before they're for it. Right? It's not a surprise. Why is this person against Bitcoin? Why is this banker against Bitcoin? Why is this bank against Bitcoin? Why is this politician against Bitcoin? They're against Bitcoin because they don't understand it. Everybody will be against it. We're going to introduce such a profound new idea that the natural human reaction of a healthy institution, a healthy political system, a healthy intellect is to first reject it. This should not be discouraging. It should not be surprising. It's exactly and completely natural that this would happen. Rule number 3. How do you know you understand Bitcoin? Well, the way you know you understand Bitcoin is you realize that you're never fully going to understand Bitcoin. If you think you've understood it, if you've studied it, if you're sure you get it, that means you haven't quite grasped it yet. People that really embrace Bitcoin, understand it, they realize you'll never be done learning about Bitcoin. Never. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's not just the protocol, it's not just the software, it's not just the way you interact with it or everyone else that uses Bitcoin interacts with it. It's a virus. It's an economic virus, it's a monetary virus, it's an ideological virus. It's going to ripple through time and space. So to understand Bitcoin, you have to understand how the existing sets of adopters will interact on the layer 2, the layer 3, the layer 4, the layer 5. You have to understand how the layer 3 applications will interact with each other via layer 2 protocols, via layer 1 protocols. You have to be thinking about what will people that haven't even discovered Bitcoin be doing with Bitcoin in 10 years, in 50 years, in 100 years. If you want to understand Bitcoin, you think about what will 10 billion people 100 years from now be doing with Bitcoin through 300 million different institutions across protocols and extensions of Bitcoin that have not yet been conceived and have not yet been invented. So when you consider how the idea will ripple through time, through space, through complexity, through the endless ways that humanity can organize itself, then you grasp the full scope of Bitcoin. How will an artificial intelligent entity created in 10 years, living in cyberspace 50 years from now, integrating with 1 million other AIs, use Bitcoin? Right? This is a profound chain reaction. It's a fire in cyberspace. It's viral through time, through space, through humanity, through all of the various vestiges of humanity. And of course, once you get that idea, you realize that you don't really know everything that's in the minds of 8 billion people or 300 million corporations or 1 billion things that are yet to come. And with that comes humility, and with that comes a thirst to keep studying Bitcoin. You'll never be done learning about Bitcoin. Rule number 4, Bitcoin's powered by chaos. When you take your money and you put it in a bank and you save it in a fiat currency, you're loaning your money to a country. When you take your money and you buy a stock, you're loaning your money to the management team of a company. When you take your money and you buy a building, you're loaning your money to the mayor of a city. When you take your money and you buy a piece of art, you're loaning your money and investing your money in a culture. When you actually buy Bitcoin, you're loaning your money to the lords of entropy. You're loaning your money to the gods of chaos. What's the bet? The bet is that chaos will outperform cities, companies, countries, cultures. It's a profound idea. I place you in Europe before World War II. I give you a lot of money, and I give you a choice. You can buy any piece of land in any country. You can buy any building. You can own any company in Europe. You can own art in Europe. You can invest in the currencies and the bonds of Europe. Imagine I give you a choice of buying any asset in any nation that's about to be a combatant in World War II, or you can own the one bank in Switzerland that's going to hold all the money of all the combatants. And you see, if you own that Swiss bank, and everybody puts their money in the bank, and the war comes, chaos comes. And the war is a metaphor for chaos and entropy accelerated in 4 years. What you realize is every building is risky. It may be blown up. Every company will probably collapse. Any piece of land may or may not have value. The rents and the rental contracts will probably be torn up. The currencies will all collapse. And in fact, the more chaos, the more destruction and devastation, the more valuable that one bank. In fact, if everybody puts their money in the bank and they all kill each other, the bank keeps the money. And it's a very profound idea. Are you in the business of benefiting from chaos, or are you in the business of attempting to stop it? And the law of thermodynamics says you can't stop entropy, right? The more confused a government is, the more inefficient the mayor is, the more inefficient and competitive a corporation's market environment is, the more chaos and the more change in the culture, the worse all those other investments are, and the better the Bitcoin investment is. Bitcoin is powered by chaos. It's going to continually outperform everything else because the one truth in the universe is that entropy goes in one direction, chaos will continue. Walk into a casino, it's rigged. Every game is rigged against you, maybe with the exception of poker. And when you sit down at the poker table, if you're not the professional poker player, that game's rigged against you too. Bitcoin's the only game in the casino that we can all win. That's a very sobering idea. Yeah, maybe you can win one of the games if you rig it. Maybe you can find something in life you can win for a while. If you're the expert in this business or that region or that real estate or this art dealership or something, maybe you find a game for a while that you can win, but there is no game that everybody can win all the time, right? Bitcoin is the casino. It is the house of chaos. Anybody that wants to play in that game can keep winning. In fact, right, the most profound idea here is the only way to lose in the game of Bitcoin is you don't play the game or you quit too soon until the odds come to your favor. So walk into the casino, sit down, play the game of Bitcoin, don't quit, everybody wins. Or walk out of the casino, play a different game. Over a long enough time horizon, you'll be a loser in every other game because you don't control the house, you don't control the odds. Even when you think you own the country, even when you think you own the company, even when you think you have monopoly on the market, the gods of entropy are going to upset your fragile equilibrium. Bitcoin will protect you, but Bitcoin won't protect you if you don't wear the armor. You have to suit up. What does that mean? You're going to walk through fire. You're going to go through a molten volcano. Don't armor up 1% of your body. Don't cover 5% of your body. Suit up. Buy the Bitcoin. Control the Bitcoin. Right? Maybe this means not your keys, not your coin. Maybe this means it doesn't help to tell everybody you know about Bitcoin, but be afraid to buy it. It doesn't help to buy it if you don't control it. It doesn't help, when you put 1% of your assets into Bitcoin and the rest go to zero, and the 1% increases by a factor of 20 or 30 or 100, you'll be saying to yourself, I guess I got something, and then you'll look back and you'll think, I'd be a lot better if 99% of my body hadn't been burned. Maybe I could have suited up more than 1% of my body. Don't leave yourself with an Achilles heel. Rule number 7. Bitcoin's the one thing in the universe that you can truly own. How? Why? Right? It's information manifested as economic value. The network has to be durable. The network has to be decentralized. The network has to be ethical. But if you find an economically sound, technically sound, ethically sound crypto network, of which we have one called Bitcoin, then the possession of the keys is ownership of the thing. Everything else you have in your life, you own at the pleasure of someone more powerful than you. Whether it's the mayor, the governor, the nation state, the corporation, you know, it could be anything or anyone. You think you own it, you have it until it's taken away. It'll be taken away from you by expropriation, by taxation. Maybe it'll be taken away from you by regulation. And in the absence of all those things, it'll be taken away from you by the passage of time, entropy and chaos. Except this thing. This is the thing that if you own this, the passage of time only makes it more valuable. Chaos only makes it more valuable. Nobody on earth can take it away from you. It's the first thing in human history you can own. It redefines the principle of property. Rule 8, everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. You know, the decision to buy Bitcoin is an act of humility. It's when you can overcome your fear, your uncertainty, your doubt. It's a moment of clarity and courage. Courage to overcome the FUD. Clarity when you realize that you need to break with your convention, with your ceremony, with your rituals, with all of your history. And when you finally see things clearly, and when you finally overcome that fear, you'll buy it. In December of 2013, I looked at it and I tweeted, you know, Bitcoin's days are numbered. It'll probably go the way of online gambling. Big mistake. Bitcoin was $892. Okay? I got the price I deserved. And when I first started buying Bitcoin, I was buying it at $9,500. But that's okay. I'll buy it at $95,000. And then I'll be buying it at $950,000. And when it gets to $950,000, there'll be some whiny person, a talking head on television, saying it looks overbought right now. It looks a little bit heated. We think it's going to trade down to 700,000. And they'll miss it. It'll go to 8 million. And they'll buy it at 8 million. And they will get Bitcoin at the price they deserve. You know, there's a classic phrase in the world, you know, only invest the money you can afford to lose. If I ran a casino with the deck stacked against you, I would put that as a disclaimer in my ads. Come to my casino, but only gamble the money you can afford to lose. If I ran some sort of, investment company scam and I wanted to take your money and buy swampland in Florida, or I wanted to gamble on a bunch of companies I didn't understand, I say, hey, only invest the money you can afford to lose. When you actually say only invest the money you can afford to lose in my crypto token or my casino or in my investment whatever or my idea, you're making a moral equivalence to gambling with the odds against you. Right? You're basically saying there's nothing better about what I'm offering than any foolish game that you're likely to lose. If I run a bar, and you ask me, well, how's your bar? I said, well, we serve really good drinks, but you should probably only come here on evenings when you don't have to work the next day. That's honest, right? You're going to get drunk in my bar, you're going to underperform the next day. I'm being honest with you. But, nobody ever said, hey, only put the kids on the school bus that you don't need me to return. Only buy a ticket on my airplane if you don't need to reach the destination, right? The engineers of the world don't say, hey, don't drive across my bridge if you really need to reach the other side. And so what I say is only buy Bitcoin with the money you can't afford to lose. I'm not going to equivocate. You shouldn't equivocate. People that equivocate don't understand Bitcoin, and they still don't get the idea of perfect money. We didn't invest in it because we wanted to take a risk. We invested in it, out of disgust with the world that forces us to take risk with everything else, where the risks are stacked against us and undisclosed. Bitcoin's better. You know, when you embrace Bitcoin, you realize that your entire world is defined by a bunch of synthetic metrics. The CPI might come in as this, and the PPI might be that, and the employment rate is 2% or 3%, even though half of you don't have a job, and the ones that have a job aren't making as much as they were making, and everything costs 50% more. But the GDP is this, and the nominal GDP looks like that. But of course, we use the market basket of synthetic crap you don't want to buy to calculate the nominal and the real GDP. That's the matrix. You're living in the matrix. And rule number 10 is very simple. It's tickets to escape the matrix are priced in Bitcoin. You don't have Bitcoin, you cannot buy your way out of the matrix. And until you understand that you need to buy your way out of the matrix with Bitcoin, you don't understand the matrix and you don't understand Bitcoin.
So there's Michael Saylor, who has once again delivered a powerful and insightful keynote sharing his personal 21 rules for Bitcoin. The first 10 rules we've explored today provide a solid foundation for understanding and navigating the world of Bitcoin. And remember, diversification might seem appealing, but according to Saylor, it often means selling the winner to buy the loser. His message is clear: hold on to your Bitcoin. Now guys, if you're watching this video, you're clearly interested in crypto. If you want to stay most up to date on the crypto and Bitcoin world, make sure to subscribe to our daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It gives the latest expert predictions, any breaking news, and top on-chain analysis all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description to join over 60,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.